same every time of what to do here, but kind of like if you said, where do we see proportions outside of math class? There's lots of places, but to me, scale models or scale drawings is what I think of at first. Has anyone ever bought like a scale model car or something? 1/24th scale, 1/64th scale. It's like
That's like real hot.
yeah. But they always have the scale on it on a map. They always have the scale at the bottom telling you like one inch equals 100 miles or something. That's a scale as well. So the scale model or drawing is an object or drawing with lengths proportional to the object it represents. So that shows up a lot in things like that. And the scale is the ratio of the length on the model to the actual length of the object being modeled or drawn. So a 1/24th scale car is 24 times smaller than the actual car, right? That's what I'm saying. So examples, we kind of just said there. We have scale model cars or dinosaurs, or you can go to a craft shop and they sell all these stuff that like it says like the ratio on it. Maps. Lots of things like that. My husband used to get all these NASCAR cars, like the bigger, like this big one, whatever that is. All right, so how about this? It says the distance between Boston and Chicago on a map is 9 inches. If the scale of the map says 1 inch is equal to 95 miles, what is the actual distance from Boston to Chicago? With math, right? We watched The Martian this weekend with Matt Damon. Have you seen this movie? It's so good. And it's so good because it just teaches you that math and science are the key. But they were doing all these computations at Parker with 8. Says, how are they doing that? My husband said, math. So if it's 9 inches and we want to know how far the real distance is, I could say X miles. Could I just set up this proportion here? Dude, you know me, I like to show work. And on the next one, if they ask you to go backwards, here's what I'm fine. If you can get the answer and you know what the answer is in this, the problem is when they switch it up on you and then you don't know how to go backwards because you're not thinking that it's a proportion. That's what I think the trouble is, of not thinking about that, oh, that's just a proportion. And yes, the answer is just going to be 9 times 95, which is what? Do you agree that with our smartphones that the idea of using a map to estimate is not really very practical? Because you just asked Siri how far it is. I asked Siri last night how far it was from my husband said he wanted to drive it for 75. And he said that's like an hour plus. It was like 17 hours. I was like, that's a lot. Have you ever asked Siri to beatbox? I haven't asked her. I like
0 divided by 0.
Yeah.
It says that you have divide 0.
There's another one. My 10-year-old nephew knows that whole thing that she said back to you. Why are fire trucks red? Or, like it just goes on and on. And my yeah. Okay. We have to do this. A miniature replica of a fighter jet is 4 inches long. The actual length of the jet is 12.8 yards. What is the scale of the model? Look, I was supposed to hide this from you. You tell me, do we need to know our conversions? What about on this one? Was the scale in the same units? No. So when you're giving the scale, it's okay to say 1 inch equals 95 miles. Okay, so in part A here, when it says what is the scale of the model, we're going to say like 1 inch to so many yards. Okay, so we're going to have two different units here. But do you agree that we can just say like 4 inches over 12.8 yards? And this one works out really well because it's 12.8 and I divide that 4 into 10. 3.2, right? 4 goes into 12 3 times. 4 goes into 2 2 times. What about the ways we can write ratios? Do you think that the fraction makes the most sense when you're writing a scale? Do you know how scales are normally written? Do they usually use the fraction bar? No, they usually use the colon. So it's not wrong to say that, but I'm just going to write it like this. 1 inch to 3.2 yards. So that miniature replica is a 1 to 3.2 scale. 1 inch of that fighter jet equals 3.2 yards of the real fighter jet. So now, Allie, part B kind of leads into what you said. It says a miniature replica of a fighter jet is 4 inches long. The actual length is 12.8 yards. How many times as long as the actual... What? Why can't I read this? How many times as long as the actual is the model jet? Does that make any sense?
I'm scared.
That doesn't make sense, right? How many times as long is...
How many times as long as the actual
Yeah, it's missing some words, right?
It's also missing.
I cut off the J of the jet, but the rest of that is really what the problem said. Okay, so this wasn't supposed to be here. I wanted you to think this, but it's there anyway. It's kind of like what you were saying. It says you need to find the scale of the model and then multiply by a conversion factor that relates inches to yards to obtain a unitless ratio. I love doing these two. So, unit conversion. Next year you're going to take chemistry. That's just... In chemistry, to me, unit conversion always reminds me of chemistry class, even though it's just math, but you do it a lot in chemistry. So you have to know some conversion. How many feet are in a yard?
3.
So, we want the yards to cancel out, so that's how I know I'm going to put 1 yard over here, over 3 feet, because then yards will cancel. And now I have 1 inch over... I was really like this. But I need to change these to the same unit, so can I change feet to inches?
Yeah.
How many inches are to put?
12.
Where am I going to put feet? On the top or the bottom? Top. Because I want the feet to cancel, right?
Yeah.
Am I doing this upside down? Should I have the yards on top? I know, but I just mean like if I should have started with 3.2 yards and 1 inch, so that I get a nice answer here. But it's okay. We're going to go. So now, do I have a unitless ratio? How do I know if I have a unitless ratio? If all the units cancel out? So I think we should switch it the other way, but that's okay. We'll keep it like this. Someone multiply all this for me. 116.2. So the top, we did the 1 inch on the top and 3.2 yards on the bottom, which means that the scale, the model, is 115 times smaller, 115.2 times smaller than the original one. Or how many times as long as the actual jet is the model jet? Is that what we should say? Is that what that's supposed to say? 115.2 times as long. So if they ask you to figure out how much longer is the actual one, or how much bigger is the actual one, you have to do the unit conversion. It's fun. Makes it so complex. So I like writing things.
Oh my god.
hear her at all. So.
I like crossing things out, so it's why I like grading your paper so much. Because I get to mark it off.
Not Chandler's.
I don't, yeah, Taylor's is empty. Yes. Gerard is making a scale model of his classroom on an 11 by 17 inch sheet of paper. If the classroom is 20 feet by 32 feet, choose an appropriate scale for the drawing and determine the drawing's dimensions. Drawings.
You all say more.
I know. I was saying it on purpose.
You say
That's
I just say stop judging me.
it says
Okay, so I want to take my classroom that is 20 feet by 32 feet, and I want to be able to put it on an 11 by 17 inch sheet of paper. So we want to think about what would be a good scale for this. Should I draw my, can I turn my classroom long ways too? Can I make my classroom 32 feet
require a lot of
by 16 feet? Notice my pictures look the same, right?
another.
If I compare the paper to the shorter side of my classroom, that would be 11 inches compared to 20 feet. What does 11 over 20 divide to? Let's switch it. 20 feet over 11 inches.
Now,
It's like 1.8. It keeps repeating. I'm approximating, okay? I know we hate decimals, but just humor me for a minute.
what?
He said be quiet.
Hey, what do you call it, Mark?
Be quiet. Okay, so if I divide those two, I get that it's about 1.8. If you were making your own scale drawing, do you want to say for every foot it equals 1.8 inches? You could, but that would be kind of annoying to draw, right? So this is where if you were doing your own scale drawing, you can make it just so that it kind of fits that. So what's kind of a nice number that's close to 1.8? 2.
119.
These are close to 2, so what if we say that every 1 foot, every, what would we say?
1 foot.
If I wanted to be a ratio for, oh yeah, so every 2 feet is equal to 1 foot, crazy. Right, or that's a 1 inch to 2 foot ratio. I don't know which way it matters that you write it. But when you're making your own scale drawing, you want to make it so it's nice. So you can just measure 1 inch, or every 2 feet in the classroom equals 1 inch. And then would that fit on the paper? How many inches would I need to fit 32 feet? How'd you get that? So wouldn't this equal to 16 inches? Would that fit on my 17 inches? And how many inches would I need for 20 feet? 10. So I really would have an extra inch to spare to do that. It is drawn to scale. It just doesn't fit the whole paper, right? We'd have some. All right. Ooh, extra credit. You like to read with the and then make a scale so you can blow it up. Or maybe a nice rectangular candy bar. The wrapper of it, and then I think it's drawing strips together, like drawing cartoons. Obviously, the bar wrapper that they give. So however comfortable you are in your drawing. You can take a picture of yourself. You can make your lovely picture this year, and then enlarge it on a sheet of paper.
Explain it.
It depends on how good it is, right? So here's the way. You can do this however you want, but I thought if I gave you a rectangular piece of paper that it might make things easier for you. But you would have to make it kind of like, like how many rectangles are in a small paper. These are each a half inch. Well, rectangles, or squares. I thought maybe if you could go like an inch, right? It's like a clock. But you don't have to use this. If you want to do your own thing, you can do your own thing, and you just draw your own stuff. If you're an artist, so again, I made this you're like letting your dad. That is so true. The idea is that you use the scale to do it a square at a time, which is why I think it's a lot of squares, which is why you might want to make it a 1 inch by 1 inch or a 2 inch by 2 inch square. And the idea is you're taking a square at a time to draw it, not that you're taking your candy bar and you're just drawing it, which is why you're supposed to turn in whatever your scale is. So if you're turning in a candy bar wrapper, I want the candy bar wrapper turned in. Comic strip picture out of that, as well as this. Also, there's a map on there of like what was the original link, what was the original width, what is the new link, what is the change width. And as close as you can, yes. So those dimensions fit, which is why I did this last example here of how could you take the dimensions of your shape, whatever you choose to do, and get on this. Why I thought a Snickers bar or a candy bar kind of worked out nice. It's probably a little bigger, but it's sort of like rectangular. And then you can go from there and kind of make your dimensions, which is why you gotta turn this back in too, so that I can see your new link and what Yeah, it doesn't have like the idea is you're not gonna make it just sit right here, right? The idea is I want it to go as much as you can, but it doesn't have to be edge to edge as long as it's close. Does that make sense? It can have something like that's the thing on the shape. If you do the square shape, close, extra credit, right? Extra. This is all extra credit. So I'm saying if you do this and you've actually done this so well correctly, that's probably minimum. You do it really well, you color it, it's nice. 20 something. Not, I don't give extra credit. They're happening. So each one, I found this online, and it happened to be things I could find, but I thought it would give you something to go by. So if you want to do these 1 by 1 or 2 by 2, then you can okay, so I'd like this to be Thursday by Friday if you choose to do it. It's extra credit. You don't have to do it, but I just thought it was a way to kind of use our skill practice. Definitely not going to. But here's what I'd like you to think about. Homework is here like all completion, right? So if you get 20 extra credit points on homework, your homework rate should be over 100%, which then is simply everything. Or maybe I'll do. Right, maybe I can break it up. Right, maybe a little in each category. Yeah. Maybe I might be I checked my it today.
So what you're saying is, that it doesn't have a father. It, Big slapper.
I know what you're talking about. Immaculate conception. You need the word conception after it.
Okay, but still, it's funny. Just laugh. That's the
So this is what you do. This is that. There's that.
We only have 2 minutes.
If you have not turned in your test corrections and you want any points for that, even though I said to bring them on Friday, today is the last day you can do that.
Son.
Don't think that. The floor is metal. Remind me tomorrow to leave homework within the that I have lots of homework. English, chapter 5. Did you find tissues, Nikki?
Will be for the last time.
Don't forget about your homework for tomorrow, and don't get sidetracked on the extra credit, right? Chandler, you should do this extra credit because your homework grade's in the toilet right now. Toilet. It's like circling, like it's past the toilet, like whatever comes after the toilet. Septic system, like it's way down there.
The semester deck finished.
I bet it's